What's going on? This is Neutral Speculation. I want to talk about something in particular. It's pertaining to boxing. Boxing is it's a beautiful sport, man. It's a lot of brave women, a lot of brave men. I respect every fighter, especially if they do it for a living. Um, in particular, if you just do it just for recreation and you're competing in, that's a beautiful thing. Well, some people don't have to box, but they box anyway. So that's one of my favorite sports, and I just want to inform some people about some misinformation that pretty much a lot of people have a different perspective on. But I just want to iron out a few things. I want to talk about sparring. Sparring is nevertheless important. However, there's a lot of people, whether I interacted with them, whether I read comments or saw YouTube videos of people talking about it or whatever. Sparring is essential. However, a lot of people say things like sparring doesn't count. And I beg to differ. First and foremost, sparring counts. Sparring counts, needless to say, you are giving punches. You are taking punches, catching punches, slipping punches. It's equivalent to a fight. I mean, it's not necessarily a fight, depending on what situation you could be in. In some gyms, it's a war. A sparring match is a fight in some gyms. Some gyms are a lot more controlled, um, where you are sparring to get better, not to try to kill or hurt your sparring partner necessarily. It's about getting better overall. That's the point of sparring. Egos get in front, anger, frustration, and some people just take it from learning to getting pieced up a couple times to them just overreacting and just reacting irrationally. Whether they're just trying to take the other guy's head off, or next thing you know, it's a wrestling match or whatever. It's just so many different things that can just go down in a boxing gym when sparring is not regulated and when the fighters are not necessarily composed and understand the fact of learning, rather than trying to hurt. The people that say things like sparring doesn't count, it's just sparring, it's just this, it's just that, I have to I have to say that's misinformation. 100% it's misinformation, because when I do good in a sparring match, for an example, I feel good, I feel confident, especially if I'm preparing for a fight. I got four, maybe three guys that going, getting 3 rounds apiece and helping me prepare for a fight. And I'm doing good. I'm holding my own. I'm tired. I'm using my jab. I'm using my defense. I'm just working on my overall game or my overall skill set in preparation for a fight. And I'm doing well. I leave that gym with a sense of confidence, a sense of pride. Now, on the flip side, if I'm not doing so good in sparring matches and I'm going against several different styles of fighters, and next thing you know, I'm leaving that gym like, man, I look terrible today. That's going to rest on your psyche whether you have a good session or a bad session in sparring. It's inevitable. We have to understand that most people don't detach from sparring after they leave. That's something you think about. It breeds confidence, or it breeds you second guessing yourself. You know what I mean? Some fighters get hurt, some fighters get knocked out in sparring. That's why some fighters went into certain fights and they didn't look so well, because during their sparring they weren't looking as great. And sometimes some fighters didn't look great in sparring and they went into the fight and they just dominated the fight. But in sparring, it was very tough for them. It was very hard. They just fortunately didn't get knocked out or didn't sustain a crazy injury. So I say all this to say that there's a lot of fighters such as Lennox Lewis, Larry Holmes, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward, Roy Jones Jr. It's a few other good fighters, great fighters, as a matter of fact, that took sparring extremely seriously. And if you have a match, a sparring session, not a match, sparring session, and you do good, you're like, okay, I'm on point. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Everything is working very, very well. Some of the greats, they had challenging sparring matches, man, and it can make you second guess. I don't care what type of person you are. There's a video out there with Mayweather when he's pretty much told himself, he said, "Oh, you got to tighten up, champ." They say an ass whooping to humble you because it gives you a sense of confidence, or it gives you a sense of, as I said before, you're just second guessing the sport sometimes. Like, oh man, I just can't believe that I didn't look good. I couldn't get off. But when you're training all year around, you're going to stumble a couple times. It's just natural. It's just absolutely natural. And that's why people get better, because they have these hard sessions. And next thing you know, after leaving and sitting with themselves, they have to sit here and reevaluate mentally, like, do I want to continue this? Do I have the confidence? So on and so forth. So many different things that's going on in a fighter's mind, in a boxer's mind, when sparring is involved. In addition to all the sparring, you're training, you're running, especially when you're preparing for a fight. You're preparing for a fight, strength and conditioning, diet, uh, so many different things. You're running 3 to 4, maybe 5 times a week. You're sparring 3 times a week. You're eating as not as like you want to eat, but you're eating like a fighter, preparing for war in the future. So just hearing things that people say and them pretty much just flagging sparring as if it's just a imaginative state. You know what I mean? It's just it's just misinforming that I just want to go out here and say that absolutely sparring counts. You know what I mean? Why do I feel great, or why do I not feel so good after this sparring match? That's because we are attached to what we want to become when it comes to wanting to be great. And we practice. Confidence practice breeds confidence. That's just what it is. So I just want to put this message out here for those who are unintentionally, in my opinion, misinforming people about sparring doesn't count. Some of the greatest fighters, they had good sparring matches, and when they had bad sparring matches, no, they're not letting the public know about it. However, some great fighters gave insight on how they felt, and it helped them become a lot better in the fight. There were fighters that got knocked out in sparring, and when they went into the fight, the sparring match was identical to the fight. They got knocked out, or they got hurt, or they got stopped. So everything counts, just in life in general. I walk outside, I walk to the store, I walk across the street. Something just so simple can dictate my future. It all counts. Everything counts. So that's just my idea and my view. That's my conclusion on things count. Everything counts, in the ring or outside the ring. So that's my conclusion. I'm out.